The stillness of time. John Everett was an ordinary man, living an ordinary life in the bustling city of New York. Every day, he commuted to his mundane job as an accountant, feeling the weight of routine pressing down on him. But John had always harbored a longing for something more, something extraordinary to break the monotony of his existence. One fateful afternoon, as he was perusing the dusty shelves of a quaint, old antique shop, he stumbled upon a peculiar watch. It was a vintage piece, unlike any other he had seen before. The watch had a brass case, intricate engravings, and a mysterious aura that seemed to beckon him. The shopkeeper, an enigmatic old man with a twinkle in his eye, noticed John's fascination. "Ah, I see you've found the Tempus Fugit," the shopkeeper said with a knowing smile. "It's a very special watch." John raised an eyebrow. "What makes it so special?" Quote. The old man leaned in closer. "Legend has it that this watch can stop time." John chuckled, thinking it was a clever sales pitch. "Stop time? Really?" Quote. The shopkeeper nodded. "Indeed. But be warned. It's not a toy. Use it wisely." Intrigued and unable to resist the allure, John purchased the watch. That evening, he sat in his apartment, turning the watch over in his hands. Could it really stop time? He decided to test it. With a mixture of excitement and skepticism, he pressed the tiny button on the side. Instantly, the world around him fell silent. The bustling sounds of the city ceased. The ticking of his wall clock stopped. And even the leaves of the trees outside his window froze in midair. John's heart raced as he walked outside. People were frozen in place. Cars halted in mid-motion. And birds hung suspended in the sky. It was surreal. John spent hours exploring the frozen world, reveling in the power he now possessed. He could do anything without consequence. But as the initial thrill began to wear off, he realized the weight of his actions. He had the power to stop time. But what did that mean for him? He pressed the button again, and the world resumed its pace, oblivious to the extraordinary events that had transpired. For weeks, John used the watch sparingly, enjoying his newfound ability to pause the chaos of life. He stopped time to catch up on work, avoid awkward conversations, and even prevent minor accidents. But one day, during a particularly stressful moment at work, he pressed the button in frustration. The office went silent, and John took a deep breath, trying to calm himself. As he fiddled with the watch, it slipped from his grasp and fell to the floor. Panic surged through him as he picked it up, realizing the delicate hands were no longer moving. The watch was broken. John frantically pressed the button, but nothing happened. He was trapped in the stillness. Days turned into weeks, and John wandered through the frozen city, desperately searching for a way to fix the watch. He visited the antique shop, but it was closed, as if it had never existed. Loneliness began to gnaw at him. The novelty of the silent world had long worn off, replaced by a deep, gnawing dread. John tried to interact with people, but their lifeless stares offered no comfort. He shouted, cried, and pleaded, but there was no response. He was utterly alone. His only companion was the broken watch, a cruel reminder of his folly. One day, in the midst of his despair, John sat in Central Park, watching the frozen children on the playground. He closed his eyes, wishing for the noise, the chaos, and the life he had once taken for granted. Suddenly, he felt a presence beside him. Opening his eyes, he saw the old shopkeeper. "Why?" John croaked, his voice raw with emotion. "Why did you sell me this watch?" Quote, "The shopkeeper looked at him with pity. You wanted something extraordinary. But true wisdom comes from understanding the value of time, not from manipulating it." John bowed his head, tears streaming down his face. "Please, help me fix the watch." The shopkeeper nodded and took the watch from John's trembling hands. He tinkered with it for a moment, and with a soft click, the hands began to move again. He handed it back to John. "Use it wisely," he repeated. John hesitated, then pressed the button. The world around him roared back to life. The children laughed, cars honked, and the city buzzed with activity. John breathed a sigh of relief, feeling the warmth of life envelop him once more. The shopkeeper had vanished, leaving John alone in the bustling park. From that day forward, John never used the watch again. He kept it as a reminder of the lesson he had learned. Time is precious, and its true value lies not in controlling it, but in cherishing every moment. And so, John embraced the ordinary with newfound appreciation, finding joy in the simple, fleeting moments that make up the tapestry of life.